Hi, everybody, and welcome to Heel Heat. My name is George Coles, and on this episode, we're reviewing New Japan Pro Wrestling Strong, episode 88. Let's jump right into it. First, we grade everything here on a 1 to 5 scale, 1 being the worst, 5 being the best. First match of the evening, we have Kevin Knight versus the DKC, which it's awfully funny. Every time I see DKC, I collect video games, so a lot of times you'll see DKC as a shortening for Donkey Kong Country, and it always makes me think of that. And I'm probably not the only person, which is why I'm bringing it up here. I just think it's funny when I see his name. That's what I think of. But anywho, this was a decent match to start the night. I mentioned it on last week's show that the crowd seemed either rather dead or mic'd poorly. And it carried over onto this show as well, because I definitely believe the crowd was mic'd poorly, because the next two matches, it's very obvious that they should have been responding better than they were. And it could be, from what I understand, this was all 4 episodes taped at once, so it could have been a longer taping. They just got burned out. But anyway, this is a solid match to start the show. The DKC picks up the win here. I'm going to give this one a 3. Like I said, it's kind of jarring not seeing a crowd response, especially with seeing a crowd there. Even watching the shows last year that New Japan would run, where they weren't allowed to cheer, but they could clap, even the clapping gave some kind of a noise to it. And, it's just strange, in my opinion, for something, I don't know. And like I said, I totally think it's to do with the production, not with the crowd. Also, on this episode, it seemed very dimly lit as well, where it didn't the last couple weeks. Again, more on the production side, not the in-ring talent. Now, coming off of that match, our second match of the evening, Mascara Dorado versus TJP, and I probably just pronounced that wrong. This is cool. If you're not familiar with Mascara Dorado, he formerly was Grand Metalik in the Lucha House Party in WWE. TJP, TJ Perkins, Puma, was Suicide for a little bit. He's a well-known commodity in pro wrestling. This was a very, very solid match. Very Lucha Libre influenced, very Lucha Libre paced. I thought this was really good. I thought this was a fun match. It's a very strange thing to see Mascara Dorado now, after seeing him as Grand Metalik, and how his style was kind of nerfed in the WWE, where he wasn't allowed to do the things that he can actually do. The things that made him special, the things that made them sign him in the first place. And this is not an anti-WWE rant. Just interesting when you take a guy like that, and a lot of the Lucha guys don't work in WWE. Where when they wrestle in New Japan, or AEW, or even like Ring of Honor, or other places, their style seems to work because they're allowed to use it. This is a good, fun, fast-paced match. Dorado picks up the win here. I'm giving it a 4. After the match, we've seen TJP kind of lean into his heel side now that he's part of the United Empire. He takes off Mascara Dorado's mask, which, if you know anything about Lucha Libre, is one of the most disrespectful, if not the most disrespectful thing you can do to a luchador. This was, like I said, a very solid match. I like that at the end. Leave it to where they can do more with this rivalry, because I think they could put on some more bangers just like this one. Again, I give the match a 4. I thought it was really fun. Neat note, after there was a guy that came in and gave his ring jacket to Mascara Dorado to cover his face. If you watched Championship Wrestling from Florida, or not from Florida, from Hollywood a few years back, you'll remember a character named the Hobo, Robert Baines, I think his name is. But anyway, he was that guy. He's been working with the LA Dojo, and that was pretty cool, neat seeing him there. A nice little throwback for us people that are fans that used to watch the Championship Wrestling from Hollywood show. But anyway, our main event of the evening, the third and final match, we get Jay Lethal versus Ren Marina. I love this match. This is prior to Jay Lethal. I believe this was taped prior to Jay Lethal turning heel on AEW, so he's still mostly wrestling as a face here. There's a little bit of taunting that happens. He leans into his Ric Flair and Macho Man impersonations during the match. This is a really, really good match. Very solid match. Probably, if you ask me, my favorite match of this whole week that I've watched. And I've said this before, and I keep harping on this on all these New Japan Strong shows I review. The young lions that they got coming up, the crop now that's just now getting ready, Shota Umino, Ren Marina, they're definitely looking like talent that's ready to go for the future. Yuya Uemura as well. They look like guys that could take over right now. Ren Marina in this match reminded me so much of Shibata. It was kind of eerie, especially knowing that they just wrestled a couple months ago and he's been his coach for a while. This was an awesome match. Absolutely a star-making performance by Ren Narita here. Even in the loss to Jay Lethal does pick up the win here. Ren Narita came out of this looking like a star, looking like someone that is ready to be the next generation of New Japan talent, which is awesome. I love the way the Young Lion system works. I love how there's always a young crop of kids waiting in the wing to take over for the current crop of wrestlers that are wrestling. And, it's not going to be too long. Naito, I believe, has said he's going to retire at the end of this year. Tanahashi, I gotta imagine, is going to retire within the next couple of years, or at least go down to a lighter schedule because of the problems he's had injury-wise. Guys like Kota Ibushi has seemed to, he seemed to be catching on a lot of injuries as of late. A lot of these guys that have been the stalwarts for the past decade or so are now getting older, so it's time to bring these guys in, the Ren Naritas, the Yuya Uemuras, the Shota Uminos. These three guys, to me, and I'll keep saying this, and I keep bringing it up, they are the future. They are going to be the guys that are the New Japan, are to New Japan for this next generation what Naito, Okada, Tanahashi were for the current generation, in my opinion. Again, I'm giving the match a 5. I really enjoyed this. Like I said, this match was just awesome. And kudos to Jay Lethal, because Jay Lethal is an amazing wrestler. And by no small feat was it wasn't just Ren Narita becoming a star, it was Jay Lethal as well, putting on an awesome performance. Overall, I'm going to give the show itself a 5. Just for that main event. That main event made the whole show feel more special. Even though the other two matches were good, that main event was great. So to me, gives the show a 5. A definite watch if you're someone that doesn't watch every week like I do. I would definitely check this out, especially if you have the New Japan World app. There's no reason not to go check it out. I mean, if you're already paying for it, the show's over in less than an hour. It's a fun show. Week by week, it is my favorite show. More often than not, New Japan Strong is my favorite show of the week over Dynamite, over Nitro, Monday Night Raw, SmackDown, Impact. They all do good stuff. They all have good shows. But on a consistent basis, New Japan Pro Wrestling Strong, I think, is the best weekly television wrestling show. With all that being said, smash the like button, hit the share button, subscribe if you haven't. Leave me a comment down here if you made it all the way to the end. In honor of this being episode 88, and because I'm a Philadelphia Flyers fan, and some of you guys probably won't even know who the hell this is, put Eric Lindros in the comments if you made it to the end. Eric Lindros, one of my favorite Philadelphia Flyers of all time, one of the great hockey players in the 1990s. Again, I'm a huge Flyers fan, so we're going to put that's his number, by the way. 88 was his number. That's why I'm saying Eric Lindros, if you're not familiar. Anyway, with all that being said, my name is George Coles, and this has been my review of New Japan Pro Wrestling Strong, episode 88.